the harvest.
Greetings to you all, Africa FM listeners. This is Imene Nouad with the latest news from across the continent and the world. Over 30 people are killed and several others kidnapped by armed gangs in Niger State, central northern Nigeria, during weekend attacks, police report. Earlier, 9 people were killed during New Year celebration in Shigwe village, Plateau State, highlighting ongoing security challenges in the region. The Democratic Republic of the Congo officially begins its 2-year term as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council amid ongoing security and humanitarian crisis in the east. Observers note that the Washington peace agreement appears stalled as M23 militias remain absent from negotiations. Widad Alawa explains more on the topic.
Hailed as a pathway to stability, the Washington Agreement on the Democratic Republic of the Congo is now widely seen as stalled, with many analysts warning that its minerals for peace strategy is unsustainable, especially in the absence of the M23 militias from the negotiating table. Since late November, civilians have been killed in several areas, but these abuses have been overshadowed by the M23 crisis. Ongoing clashes and strikes show that the Washington Agreement, despite its political significance, has failed to take hold on the ground. Congolese political analyst Christian Moleka speaks more on this.
Since the end of November, there have indeed been massacres of civilians carried out in territories controlled by the liberals, particularly in the Bambete area. Unfortunately, the security issue do not receive as much attention as the M23 issue in Petit Nord and South Kivu, because that issue has captured international opinion, and it's therefore at the heart of the mediation process, especially the Washington process, which today has struggled to materialize on the ground. This agreement is still not being respected, and the latest resumption of fighting in the regions surrounding the city of Wirak, whether in Kobola or Baraka, as well as the drone strikes this morning in Masisi, show that there are enormous challenges in implementing the Washington Agreement. While it represented a diplomatic breakthrough on paper and politically, it has had great difficulty translating into reality on the ground.
Both the Doha Declaration and Washington frameworks remain vulnerable to delays and political groundstanding by the conflict parties. Peace in the DRC's northeast remains elusive as the respective nations' leaders and their top representatives appear to be stepping forward only to take 2 steps back again.
Egypt has taken a markedly tougher line towards Libyan Marshal Khalifa Haftar and his family, signaling a shift from diplomacy to military-backed pressure. Analyst Jalal Harshawi, talking to Riyad Ma'amari, notes that while the Haftar family once openly rebuffed President Sisi's calls to stop supporting Sudan's rapid support forces, recent developments, including Egyptian airstrikes, have forced the Haftar camp to take Cairo's warning seriously, undermining Emirati-backed operations in southeastern Libya. Let's hear it.
Et effectivement, l'Égypte aujourd'hui est plus affirmative, plus sévère, et on peut remarquer par exemple la différence entre une réunion qui
As Egypt intensifies its regional influence, Tripoli's Prime Minister Abdelhamid Dbeiba is engaging in talks with Cairo and even opening channels with Sudanese General Burhan, according to Libyan security analyst Jalal Harshawi. Once aligned with the UAE resistance to assisting Burhan, Dbeiba now finds himself in a more precarious position, and it's exploring whether intelligence support or other measure could help him counter Emirati influence and assert his independence.
There is now a dialogue beginning to take place between Egypt and Tripoli's Prime Minister Dbeiba. A more serious dialogue has also started between Dbeiba and Burhan. Previously, Dbeiba refused to help Burhan because he himself was supported by the Emirates. I'm talking about the period 2023-2024. Today, however, Dbeiba is in a much more fragile position, so he has a greater interest in exploring whether, through intelligence or other forms of support, he can effectively undermine the Emirati policy in order to differentiate himself.
Somalia's Danab Special Forces carry out a successful night operation in Jilib district, eliminating 15 Shabab terrorists and capturing 8 others. The mission demonstrates enhanced operational reach and sustained pressure on terrorist elimination Nigeria's attacks. The Sudan Doctors Network warns of an imminent health and humanitarian catastrophe in Dilanj, South Kordofan, as rapid support forces continue to besiege the city and carry out heavy airstrikes. The United Nations Security Council announces an emergency meeting tomorrow around 8 a.m. local time to discuss the U.S. military operation in Venezuela, which reportedly arrested President Nicolas Maduro and his wife in Caracas. The African Union expresses deep concern over the development, reaffirming respect for international law, state sovereignty, and international integrity. In Gambia, President Adama Barrow declares national mourning following the sinking of migrant boat of the North Bank region. Of 200 passengers, 102 are rescued, 7 bodies recovered, and many remain missing. Gabon's presidency forms a new government of 31 ministers, up from 30. Key changes include new appointments for finance, petroleum and gas, and foreign affairs. On the economic front, Nigeria's Naira closes 2025 in the green for the first time in over a decade, gaining over 7% against the dollar to 1,429 per dollar. Meanwhile, Ethiopia launches its National Digital Ethiopia 2030 strategy to boost digital literacy, public sector transformation, and entrepreneurship. On the cultural front, the Capes Clubs Carnival opens in Cape Town, South Africa, running from January 2nd to 9th. Thousands of participants celebrate with colorful costumes, traditional music, and dance. Concluding with the sport, Senegal secured a quarter-final spot in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations after defeating Sudan 3-1, while Mali also advances, beating Tunisia on penalties. Today's AFCON fixtures for round 16 include Morocco versus Tanzania at 5 p.m. GMT+1 and South Africa facing off Cameroon at 8 p.m. Thank you for paying attention to The Fullest. It was directed by Muad Bab Ahmed, and a big thanks to the control board and streaming as well. See you for more entrepreneurship today and entertainment with Imene Nouad, tuning out with the voice of Africa.